It was the beginning of October, the kind of morning that felt both calm and uneasy. The air was cool and thin, carrying the faint scent of rain and dry leaves. The city hadn't quite woken up yet. I stood outside the emergency response base, a cup of lukewarm coffee in my hands, watching the sky shift from gray to pale gold. The season was changing, and somehow it felt like everything else was too. I'd been working with the emergency team for years, long enough to know that no 2 days were ever alike. Some mornings started quietly, with nothing more serious than a call about a car stuck in a flooded street or an electrical short in an old apartment. Other mornings, like this one, began with a strange tension in the air, the kind that makes you check your phone twice before the first sip of coffee. The call came at 8:47 a.m. "Attention, Unit 3, the dispatcher's voice crackled through the radio. "Possible structural collapse. Residential area, west side. Coordinates incoming." My pulse tightened. Collapses were unpredictable. Sometimes they were nothing more than a roof giving in after a storm, but sometimes they meant something worse. Within minutes, the team assembled. There were 4 of us that day: Ethan, my longtime partner, always quick with a joke; Lyra, our driver and medic; and Jason, our equipment specialist. Ethan tossed me my helmet with his usual grin. "Let's hope it's just an old shed giving up," he said. "Let's hope," I replied, though I didn't really believe it. We geared up fast, the base filled with the familiar sounds of readiness, oxygen tanks hissing as they were checked, radios crackling, boots pounding against concrete. Every movement was second nature, the product of too many emergencies to count. As the siren wailed and the truck roared out of the base, I looked out through the windshield. The streets were slowly filling, shopkeepers opening shutters, kids with backpacks crossing the road, an old man sweeping the sidewalk. Everyday life unfolding as if nothing in the world could fall apart. Inside the truck, no one spoke much. The radio murmured updates, the GPS beeped quietly, and the city blurred past. I sat in the back, helmet resting on my knees, staring at the reflection of the flashing red lights on the window. I don't pray often, but that day I did. Please let no one be hurt. Let no one have been home. People often think emergency workers get used to this, that we grow numb to the fear. The truth is, we never do. We just learn to work through it. After about 20 minutes, we reached a narrow street on the city's west side. The GPS chimed, signaling our arrival. The scene hit harder than I expected. The house was gone, reduced to a jagged pile of broken bricks, beams, and shattered glass. It had once been a modest 2-story home, maybe 50 years old, the kind you pass by without thinking twice. Now it looked like it had exhaled its last breath and simply caved in on itself. We parked the truck and stepped out. The air was thick with dust, the smell of damp plaster and soil heavy around us. A small crowd had already gathered, neighbors standing silently behind yellow tape, their faces drawn with shock and curiosity. I approached one of them, an elderly man leaning on a cane. I asked him, "Do you know who lived here?" He sighed, eyes heavy with memory. "It used to belong to the Cella family, but no one's lived here for a while. The old couple passed away last year. Their children moved to the city, I think." His words lifted a small weight from my chest. Empty. That meant no one was inside. Still, protocol was protocol. We never assume. We set up a perimeter and began our initial sweep. Ethan powered up the thermal scanner, sweeping it slowly across the debris. Lyra began taking photos for the report, while Jason unloaded equipment from the truck. As I moved closer to the wreckage, I noticed the quiet. Even the crowd had stopped whispering. The only sound was the crunch of rubble under our boots. I crouched near what had once been the front door, Among the dust, I found small things: a cracked teacup, a half-burned candle, a family photo frame, its glass shattered, but the smiling faces inside still visible. You learn something working in this job. Buildings collapse, but stories remain. Every brick has witnessed something: a laugh, a fight, a quiet moment of love. And when they fall, it feels like those memories breathe out into the air around you.
The wind began to pick up, stirring the dust into little swirls that made our eyes burn. We moved cautiously across the wreckage, testing each step. The structure had collapsed inward, folding like a deck of cards. The beams were unstable, the ground soft and treacherous. "Watch your footing," I told Ethan as he climbed over what looked like the remains of a staircase. He nodded, the blue glow of the thermal scanner reflecting off his visor. The screen showed only dull colors, no heat signatures, no movement. For nearly half an hour, we searched in silence. The kind of silence that presses in on you, broken only by the sound of shifting rubble or the occasional call from one of us checking in. Everywhere we looked, we found traces of the life that once filled the place: a cracked mirror, a child's shoe, a small ceramic angel missing one wing. Each discovery felt like touching someone's memory. Lyra crouched near a partially standing wall, brushing away debris. "Look at this," she said. Embedded in the rubble was a small wooden shelf, its wood warped and darkened by age. A few books were still intact, their pages yellowed but dry. She picked one up gently. "Poems of the Heart," she read aloud, smiling faintly. "My dad had this one." I smiled back. "Mine too." Moments like that were the heartbeat of our work, quiet reminders that we were dealing with more than wreckage. We were standing in the middle of someone's life, interrupted. After nearly 40 minutes, Ethan lowered the scanner. Nothing. No heat, no motion. This place has been dead for a while. I nodded, relief and melancholy tangled inside me. The old man had been right. The house was empty, abandoned long before the collapse. "All right," I said. "Let's finish the perimeter sweep, then pack up." We moved methodically, photographing every angle, marking hazards. The afternoon light had turned gray, the sky thick with clouds. Somewhere nearby, a dog barked, a short, hollow sound that echoed off the broken walls. As I circled the back of the structure, something caught my attention: a narrow gap near the foundation where two beams had fallen against each other. I crouched down and peered inside. Nothing but debris and darkness. Still, a strange feeling tugged at me, the kind of intuition that years in rescue work teach you to trust. I took a few photos, noted the spot for inspection, and stood again. "Looks clear," I called out. Ethan stretched, wiping sweat from his brow. "Let's get moving before the rain hits." He was right. The wind carried the unmistakable scent of rain now, sharp and metallic. I radioed headquarters with our final report. Structure collapsed, no casualties, no residents. They acknowledged and cleared us for return. By the time we finished loading the gear, it was almost noon. The clouds had thickened, the first few drops tapping against my helmet. For a moment, we just stood there, looking at what was left of the house. 4 responders surrounded by what used to be someone's world. "Strange," Lyra murmured. "Even when no one's hurt, it still feels heavy." "Yeah," I said quietly, "because places remember." She looked at me, puzzled. "Places remember?" I shrugged. "I think they do. Not like we do, but they hold on to something. The energy of the people who lived there." We fell silent again, the sound of the wind our only company. Finally, I gave the signal. "Let's roll out." We started walking back to the truck. My boots were caked with dust. my gloves gray from the debris. I felt the usual exhaustion after a long call, mixed with a thin thread of relief. As I climbed into the truck, I turned back for one last look. The ruins stood still, unmoving. A few crows perched on the highest beam, calling into the wind. It felt final, absolute, like the story of that house had ended for good. But somewhere deep down, a quiet feeling whispered that it wasn't over yet. The rain had turned steady by the time we reached the main road. It drummed softly against the windshield, the wipers sweeping back and forth in a tired rhythm. I sat in the back of the truck, the kitten wrapped in my jacket, pressed close against my chest. She was shivering, tiny tremors rippling through her frail body. Every few seconds, she let out a small sound, not quite a meow anymore, more like a whisper of breath. "Hang on, little one," I murmured. "We're almost there." Ethan called ahead to the nearest veterinary clinic, explaining that we were coming in with an injured kitten found at a collapse site. The receptionist told us to bring her immediately. The doctor would be waiting. When we arrived, I ran through the rain, holding the kitten tight. The clinic smelled of antiseptic and something faintly sweet, like soap and fur. A young vet tech met me at the door and led us straight to an examination room. "Tell me what happened," she said quickly, as I laid the kitten on a soft towel. "She was trapped under some rubble. We were doing a post-collapse check. We heard her crying. Her leg looks bad, maybe broken. She's been through a lot." The vet entered, a calm woman in her 40s, glasses perched on the bridge of her nose, her expression kind but focused. She spoke gently as she examined the kitten. "Poor baby. She's dehydrated, cold, and definitely in shock. We'll warm her up first, then do an X-ray." I nodded, my heart pounding as I watched her work. She wrapped the kitten in a warm blanket and placed her under a small heating lamp. The tiny creature's chest rose and fell rapidly, her breathing shallow. "What are her chances?" I asked quietly. The vet looked up. "She's small, but she's a fighter. If she made it through that collapse, she's not giving up easily." Ethan stood beside me, still in his dusty uniform, watching silently. "Do you want me to grab coffee?" he offered after a few minutes. I shook my head. "I'll stay." The X-ray confirmed what I feared. One of the kitten's back legs was fractured, but the vet smiled gently when she showed me the image. "It's a clean break, nothing we can't fix. Kittens this young heal fast. Their bones are still soft, adaptable. We'll splint it and keep her here for observation overnight." I felt the tension in my chest ease for the first time that day. "So she's going to be okay?" "Yes, with some care she'll make a full recovery." She paused, then added softly, "Does she have an owner?" I hesitated. "No, she was found alone." The vet nodded thoughtfully. "Then she's lucky you found her. Very lucky." I stood there for a while after that, watching as they wrapped the kitten's tiny leg in a splint and placed her in a small crate lined with soft fabric. Every so often she would lift her head weakly and look around, her blue eyes wide and lost. There was something about her gaze that hit me harder than I expected, that mix of confusion, fear, and trust. She had no idea who we were or what had happened, yet she let us help her without resistance. When the procedure was over, the vet turned to me. "She'll be ready to leave tomorrow. If you'd like, we can find her a shelter after she recovers." I looked down at the kitten, sleeping now under the warmth of the lamp. The thought of her going to a shelter, waiting in a cage for someone to maybe come along, didn't sit right. "No," I said quietly. "I'll take her." She tilted her head. "You'll adopt her?" "Yes. I have a little boy at home. He's been asking for a pet. I think they'll be good for each other." Her smile widened. "That's wonderful. She'll need a calm place, warmth, and gentle care, and of course, plenty of love. I think we can manage that." When I left the clinic that night, the rain had stopped. The streets glistened under the streetlights, and the air smelled clean again, like the world had washed itself. I climbed into the passenger seat where Ethan was waiting. "How's the patient?" he asked. "She's going to be fine," I said, smiling for the first time all day. "Broken leg, but nothing serious." Ethan let out a breath of relief. "Good."
After everything we've seen, it's nice to have a story that ends well for once. We drove back in silence, the hum of the engine steady. I kept thinking about that little face, those frightened blue eyes. How easily she could have been another forgotten sound beneath the rubble. When I got home that later night, my son was already asleep. I stood for a while in his doorway, watching him breathe softly under his blanket. I imagined the kitten there with him one day, tiny, playful, full of life. For the first time in a long while, I felt something shift inside me. A quiet reminder that rescue doesn't always mean saving people. Sometimes it means saving whatever light you find left in the world.
The next morning, I was at the clinic before they even opened. The vet smiled when she saw me through the glass door. "Someone's eager," she said as she unlocked it. I didn't sleep much, I admitted, stepping inside. The kitten was already awake when they brought her out. She was sitting up, her tiny leg wrapped neatly in a white bandage, her fur clean and soft now after a warm bath. She looked different, still fragile, but alive in a way she hadn't been the day before. When she saw me, she tilted her head and let out the faintest little meow, as if she remembered. "She's been quiet all morning," the vet said. "Until now." I smiled, reaching out a hand. She sniffed my fingers, then rested her head on them. That was all it took. She was mine from that moment on. I signed the adoption papers, paid the bill, and thanked the staff again. Before leaving, the vet handed me a small envelope with her x-rays inside. "For her records," she said. Then added warmly, "She's a lucky one, and so are you." The drive home was quiet. The kitten sat in a small box lined with a towel, her blue eyes darting around with cautious curiosity. Every so often, she'd glance up at me, and I'd swear she understood more than I gave her credit for. When I parked in front of the house, my son Noah was already waiting by the window. The moment he saw me open the door with the box in my hands, he came running out barefoot, his hair messy and his face still puffy from sleep. "What's that?" he asked breathlessly. "Someone special," I said. "Come meet her." I placed the box on the porch. The kitten peeked out, blinking at the bright morning light. Noah crouched down beside her, his eyes wide with wonder. "She's so small," he whispered. "She's been through a lot," I said softly. "We found her trapped in a collapsed house. She needs a home." Noah looked up at me, then back at her. "Can we keep her?" I smiled. "That's the plan." He grinned so wide I thought his face might split. He gently reached out, and the kitten, to my surprise, didn't flinch. She sniffed my hand, and then, just like that, rubbed her tiny head against his fingers. Noah gasped. "She likes me!" "It looks like it," I said. We brought her inside and set her up with a blanket, a small bowl of water, and some food that the vet had given me. She ate slowly at first, then hungrily, as if remembering how good it felt to be alive. Noah sat next to her the entire time, whispering to her as if afraid to scare her away. When she finally curled up in his lap and fell asleep, he looked up at me and whispered, "Can we call her Snow?" I looked at the small ball of fur nestled against his knees. "Snow," I repeated. "That sounds perfect." Days turned into weeks, and Snow began to heal. Her limp grew less noticeable with each passing day. Soon she was exploring every corner of the house, chasing dust motes in the sunlight, curling up beside Noah whenever he read or drew. It amazed me how quickly she became part of our family. She followed Noah to the door every morning when he left for school, then waited by it until he came back. In the evenings, she'd sit on the arm of my chair while I read reports or filled out paperwork, occasionally pawing at my pen as if demanding attention. Sometimes I'd catch myself watching her and thinking back to that day. The rain, the ruins, the sound of her cry echoing through the silence. How something so small, so easily overlooked, had survived when so much else had been lost. One evening after dinner, Noah was sitting on the rug with Snow curled up beside him. The living room light was soft, warm, the air filled with quiet laughter. "Dad?" he said suddenly. Yeah, buddy. Do you think Snow remembers what happened? The house falling? I thought about it for a moment. Maybe, I said. But I think she remembers being found more. He nodded slowly, running a hand over her back. She's not scared anymore. No, I said, smiling. She's not. Noah looked up at me. You saved her, right? I hesitated. We all did. But you were the one who heard her. Yeah, I said softly. I heard her. He smiled. Then she's our miracle. That night after Noah had gone to bed, I sat on the porch with a cup of tea. Snow followed me out, her small paws silent against the wood. She hopped up onto my lap, curling into a ball. The night was cool, the air full of the smell of rain and pine. As I stroked her fur, I thought about how strange life is. How in a single day, you can go from staring at destruction to holding something new and alive in your hands. How sometimes hope doesn't come in grand gestures or miracles, it comes in a fragile heartbeat beneath the rubble. People often ask me what the hardest part of my job is. They expect me to say the danger or the long hours or the things we see, but the truth is it's the quiet after. The moments when you realize that everything you touch carries a story. Some ending, some beginning. That day in October reminded me of something I'd almost forgotten. That rescue isn't only about saving lives, it's about believing that even in the ruins, something beautiful can still be found. Snow stirred in my lap, let out a soft, contented sigh, and fell asleep. I looked up at the night sky, the same sky that had hung over that fallen house, and smiled. Because sometimes the smallest cry in the darkest place is all it takes to remind you that you're still human. And sometimes saving one tiny life can save a part of you too.